Today, I'm going to tell you a little known story from the Bible that illustrates perfectly the importance of leaving a legacy of faith. And to do so, I'm going to use a couple of my wrestling buddies. Yeah, this is the Family Blast, baby. Yeah. A lot of people know about a king named Josiah found in 2 Kings chapter 22. Today he's going to be played by Where's Waldo. A lot of people know that this guy became king when he was really young, 8. And after serving for about 18 years, he led a project to go into the temple that was in ruins and clean it up. And while the people were cleaning up the temple, they found some lost scripture. It might have been a portion, it might have been an entire book, we don't know. But he found it and he broke his heart because he realized that his people didn't know the scriptures like they should. And so he gathered all his people together, read them the scriptures, revival broke out, everybody repented and turned to God. It's an amazing story of a righteous king. But you have to ask the question, how did the temple get to such a state? What happened where the book of the law was lost and the temple fell into ruin? Well, the answers are found when you start to look at this guy's heritage. The king before Josiah was his dad, a bad dude named Amon. And this is Amon today. Amon was a bad guy who worshiped idols, led people away from the Lord, and did terrible stuff. The Bible says he only reigned for about 2 years before his servants conspired to kill him and wipe him out. So he's dead. Now, who was the king before Amon? Well, it was Amon's dad, Manasseh, Josiah's grandfather. And Manasseh was even worse. The scriptures tell us that Manasseh killed so many people, that so much innocent blood was spilled, that it filled the streets of Jerusalem from one end to the other. He worshiped idols. He lived terribly. He was a bad guy. So who was king before him? Well, the king before Manasseh was Hezekiah. Now, this is interesting because Hezekiah is a great king and a righteous man. In fact, in 2 Kings 18:5, it says, Hezekiah trusted in the Lord God of Israel. Not one of the kings of Judah was like him, either before him or after him. He remained faithful to Yahweh and did not turn from following him, but kept the commands the Lord had commanded Moses. This guy was awesome, loved God. His son hated God, turned from God and his ways, and led the people terribly. How did this lead to this? It's a big question. There's an episode towards the end of Hezekiah's life that might give us a clue as to why this great righteous man and king didn't leave behind a legacy of faith in his own family. Here's what happens. He receives some visitors from a neighboring country, Babylon, and he shows them all over his kingdom. And in a moment of pride and arrogance, he takes them all the way into his treasury and shows them his most valuable possessions, all his wealth. He was showing off. Later, those guys are gone, and the prophet Isaiah, who is Hezekiah's contemporary, he's talking to the king. He says, hey, what did you show those guys while they were here? And the king admits, I showed him everything. I showed him my wealth. I showed him all my possessions. And Isaiah said, this is my translation, bro, are you an idiot? Here's what's going to happen because you showed Babylon everything you have in pride. One day they're going to come back and they're going to steal all that stuff. Not only that, they're going to take some of your descendants and turn them into slaves. Now that has to be a harsh thing to hear for a king. That's got to be a terrible sentence. But Isaiah thinks about it, and he gives his answer to Isaiah, and his words are found in 2 Kings 20:19. This is what he says. Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, the word of the Lord that you've spoken is good. For he thought, why not? If there will be peace and security during my lifetime. Why not? If there's going to be peace and security in my lifetime, this guy's only looking to today. He's not thinking past his own life at all. He's not thinking about what's going to happen after he's gone. He just wants to make sure everything's good while he's here. That is not the mindset of someone who cares about legacy. Hezekiah might have been a great king. He might have been a righteous man, but because he didn't care about leaving a legacy of faith in his children, everything that he achieved, everything that he accomplished, and everything he did for the nation of Judah was undone in one generation in his son Manasseh. Manasseh made the nation a mess and then left that to Amon. And then all those years later, Hezekiah's great-grandson Josiah was left to pick up the pieces of the mess he left behind. Moms and dads, I hope you're growing in the Lord. I hope that you're being discipled and that you're in biblical community and that you're growing to love God more and more each day. But while you do, you've got to remember what God is doing in you has got to be passed on to your children. It matters for generations. So story time is over for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe as always. I'll be back with another Family Blast. Don't forget, pass on what God is doing in your heart to your kids. See you next time.